Hey, what's going on? How you doing out there? You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. It is Sunday. Welcome into the Sunday Chill. We're going to talk a little bit about the Falcons. Great fan practice this past Friday afternoon. What did you see? What didn't you see if you weren't there? What things you saw on video that surprised you or made you excited and things like that? Just talk a little bit about what we saw. Also, Olympics going on. Just got a little bit of a scare a second ago, but have the Olympics been a little bit of a letdown for the Americans this year? I don't know. And ask Unc anything you want to ask, any topic. I'm not sure I'm going to give the great answer, but I'll try to give an answer. Y'all come on back and we'll talk about it. Welcome in, everyone, to the Sunday Chill. Sitting here with Unc on a Sunday evening. It's the beginning of August 4th. Next week, actually about 5 days from now, the Atlanta Falcons start off their season, well, preseason, against the Miami Dolphins. They'll be doing a little bit of scrimmaging with them this week as well. So we'll see how they end up doing when you start talking about finally getting somebody on the other side of the field that's not an Atlanta Falcons. I think we're going to get a chance to see what Kirk Cousins and company can do out there on the field. Again, I'm your Uncle Steve. As the song says, you're in the Uncle Steve's Lounge. I appreciate everyone joining us today. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It's football season, man. Need to get these subs up a little bit. Usually don't say much about that, but get this thing pumped up a little bit going into the season. Got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I know folks want to get right into the talk about the Atlanta Falcons, and we should. We had a great time this past week. Ran into a lot of fellow Falcon fans at the Benz. A lot of fellow content creators. Had a great time mixing it up with them. But more importantly, just a really good production put on by the organization. When you start thinking about, the things that they make available for us to do, get a sneak peek of Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix Jr., a lot of those new defensive pieces, the return of Grady Jarrett. It was just a nice atmosphere. And it's not that you're counting the number of fans that are out there because, there were quite a few. I mean, for which this was an organized scrimmage or practice. It really wasn't so much of a scrimmage, an organized practice where they tried to simulate a couple of things out there and situations. It was pretty cool. Takeaways. I mean, no one got hurt. That's the biggest takeaway. Is it, man? I feel like I'm one of those people who are looking for doom and gloom, which I don't want to do. But you guys know it happens every year. Somebody's gonna get hurt, unfortunately. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's gonna miss some time. Already hear about the Chargers and Herbert probably saying he might make it to week 1, but I don't know. Just stay healthy. And again, you're getting ready to go up against another team that's ready to go out there and hit another team as well. Tyreek Hill ready to put some fire on the squad and see what he can do, not only in the preseason game, but probably in the scrimmages that they have scheduled this week with Miami as well. So it's going to be a lot of work being put in for the Falcons. So I just pray that we have some luck as far as the injuries are concerned. We got a lot of things to look forward to. Saw Kirk Cousins out there, man. And look, it's not like I haven't seen Kirk Cousins before we got to Atlanta. So it's not that I'm not expecting him to be good. But man, some of those passes were crisp. Saw the wide receivers actually running to a spot as opposed to trying to wait for the ball. Just the crispness of the passes. It gave you hope that we're going to have a pretty decent year. And I'm going to tell you what else I like too. I like seeing the defensive guys fly around. Braylon Trice seemed like he was in the backfield every other play. Saw them had Caden Ellis out on the edge a few times too. That was kind of interesting. I have no idea what Jimmy Lake's going to do, but I think I want to make this so much a parallel of 2016, where we had a lot of young folks on that defensive team that may not have been seasoned, that may not have been, top rated in their positions, but they had motors. I keep thinking about my buddy, man, I just forgot his name that quick. Brother who kept going at it with Brian Cox. And how they kind of molded him into a serviceable defensive lineman. That's the kind of thing I think we're looking for with this team. I don't think we're going to have any standout stars. I just think we're going to move fluently as a unit. And I think that's what you're going to look at with Jimmy Lake. If we can put up 24 to 28 points a game, all I just need is that defense to hold them to 21. That's the biggest thing. I'm not looking for a top 10 defense. I keep hearing, I ain't never done it without a top 10 defense. You don't need a top 10 defense. It would be nice to have a top 10 defense. Don't get me wrong. Get the offense to score one more touchdown than we did. We were going through that drill last week. It might have been 2 weeks ago. If the Falcons scored one more touchdown in the games in the last 2 seasons, I think it was a difference of 7 games, 7 wins, which in the putrid NFC South would have been enough to at least give us a home game in the Benz. Well, this year, I think it's going to be different. I think everything is right in front of us. Take care of your business. You should be good. If anyone wants to talk about anything from the Benz, we can do that. You can talk about anything in general for the Falcons. I'm down with that. We're just going to keep it open today. Whatever you want to talk about as far as the Falcons are concerned. Also, we're going to spread the conversation to the Olympics. Olympic letdown. Now, I'm going to tell you what. My son and I were up watching a couple of hours ago as Noah Lyles, by the hair on his chinny chin, eked out the gold medal, albeit he won, but he eked it out. That was a great race. Every last one of those runners were one stride away from being at the finish line. I don't think I've ever seen that before. All 8 runners were all together. That was great. And then you look at Noah Lyles slipping in, getting the goal, cementing the fastest man in the world title. And he's going to win the 200. That's really his event. The 200 is more of his event than the 100 is. So congratulations to him. I would be lying if I sat here and say I wasn't a little disappointed. I thought Sha'Carri Richardson was going to take it home. If you judge by the number of commercials, you thought she was too. I think she had maybe second most commercials next to Simone Biles, maybe. Maybe her and Noah Lyles were in the same boat. But I guess you got to go out there and do it. And then, we were supposed to dominate in swimming. All the Chinese swimmers are coming up, obviously with controversy. But the Olympics, or have you even been paying attention? Which is fine, too. Do you think the U.S. is really maximizing everything? We did the U.S. trials, man. They had the U.S. pinned in for all these goals. And don't get me wrong, they're still tied for first with a lot more chances to go. So, we might end up getting the most gold. But, man, we've had some pretty disappointing results. So what do y'all think about that? And then the last one, we did this a little bit last year, especially on Sundays, non-football Sundays. Ask Unc. Anything you want to throw out there, we could talk about it. Anything pop culture, anything sports, throw it on out there. See what we got. Again, might not give you the answer you want, but I'll try to give you an answer. So we'll talk about it again. 3 things. Practice at the Benz. Great atmosphere for the fans. If you were out there, tell me what did you think about everything? Or if you saw some videos, what do you think about what went down? The Olympics. Are the Americans really coming through? Or we just haven't hit our stride yet? This is the week we're going to pick everything up before everything ends this weekend. And then ask Unc. Anything y'all want to talk about? Pop culture, music, movies, anything. Ask Unc. Appreciate y'all coming into Uncle Steve's Lounge. Again, if y'all are here for the first time, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Appreciate ya. Appreciate ya. First up, King Atlanta supporter, what is going on? Thank you for joining us in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. My brother David Starks is in here. What's going on? Yeah, David Starks. He had a little request for me today.
I love Desmond.
Y'all are not going to get enough of that guy. I know y'all heard already. He's up there throwing picks in Arizona practice. I don't even know what to say about him, man. I know he's not on the team anymore, but I just think about the time we wasted. Arthur Smith pretty much told a big fib about how ready this guy was. And it cost him his job, as it should have. But, man, Desmond Ritter, there could be a scenario where Desmond Ritter is starting for a UFL team next year. There could be a scenario. I mean, it is. And for my Falcons, I'm happy he's gone. For the young man himself, I hope he does get another chance to rebound. Because he seemed like a good dude. Just had a horrible coach. A horrible coach trying to sell us, again, those famous magic beans. Oh, he's ready. 8 plays in preseason. That's all he needs. Watch. We're gonna fool you in these first 2 games. He's not fooling anybody anymore. That's for sure. King Atlanta supporter says, I'm hyped about everything, even practice. Yeah, and listen, we haven't seen anything this week. This will be the first time we see something Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing some real time. I know we're not going to probably see Kirk Cousins. You probably won't see a lot of real starters. I would imagine maybe you get a splash of the offensive line possibly. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of stars. You might see a sprinkle against Jacksonville. Maybe. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of folks out there. I don't think they're going to do that. My brother Tidy from Atlanta Bird Gang in the house. What is going on, my brother? Y'all make sure. Do me a favor. If you don't subscribe here and don't like here, that's fine. But y'all make sure y'all go over to Atlanta Bird Gang. My brother is on fire over there. He had a great episode of the Waffle House the other day where they were talking about Julio Jones being, and I'm using this topic came from Tidy, just to let you know, this is not me. But Tidy was saying, was Julio Jones a first ballot Hall of Famer? And I think when he put that post out there at first, I think my immediate answer was, yeah, dude, what you talking about? Then I kind of started looking at the last 4 years. Had he retired after after what year did he leave here? 20 or 21? 21. If he had stopped playing then, which quite honestly he probably should have, because he's kind of been a part-time player, that's going to absolutely, take a hit to his legacy because you almost look like you're hanging around. And you were ring chasing when you went with Philly. The Titans move was bizarre. I didn't think you had a chance with them. But that was a great conversation that he had on the Waffle House about that. It's going to depend a lot who's going to go into class with him, but it's going to be interesting. I still kind of lean towards him making it, but Tidy put up a good defense about him not getting in. But, A1 Forever is in the house. What's going on, my brothers? That's another one. Y'all make sure y'all check him out on A1 Forever, his YouTube channel. He's all over the place, man. He's all over the social media deal. Again, I got to get that. I got to start doing that stuff like him. He was out there at the Benz, joined his company for a little while out there while we checked things out. I'm sure he liked what he saw. False Star Falcon here. What's going on, my brother? How you feeling? Hope everything is going well for you, sir. David Stark says, I couldn't get out there. Drake looks like he got a good connection with Cousins and Penix Jr. from the video I saw. AJ was getting work, but not worried. Still wait and see, but optimistic. Yeah. Michael definitely had some zip on the ball. I think he might have been a little nervous, to be honest with you, out there. He wasn't exactly hitting everybody in stride. Anybody who was at the practice can tell you. But it's part of the reason why you do this scenario with him. Let him sit, let him learn from Kurt and company. And you know what? Maybe he might have to do some spot duty. I hope he doesn't. But maybe he does. I think he's going to be all right. But it was nothing that made me say, oh, he was on fire or whatever. Just got some nice power behind those throws. I will say that. ATL Skate Man in the house. What's going on, sir? He said, what is up, Uncle Steve? My question is, can you and Coach Lowe roller skate? And if so, that might be another contest that you guys can add this year. Oh, man. Well, I used to be able to roller skate. But see, you got to remember, man, once I passed probably 45 and now more importantly 50, and I know there are 50 and 60-year-olds out there doing. Matter of fact, I have a classmate of mine, Jeffrey Cersei. That brother, he can roller skate like he was back at one of the old roller skating rinks, Jelly Beans, back in the day, for those of you who might remember that. But my roller skating days are over, man, because those falls, I could take those falls in my 20s. Yeah, these falls in my 50, that's going to break out. That's going to mess with my money. So I'll gladly give that to Coach Lowe. Big Low Country Sports. Shout out to my brother who was out there with us doing his thing. But yeah, my roller skating days are over with. But I'll find something else that we can get into. Most definitely. Barbara Ridley in the house. How you doing, Miss Barbara? She said, hello, everyone. Pray no one gets hurt on the Falcons. Practice was great. New food items at Mercedes-Benz look good. Yeah, they had some good grub out there, man. But they've always done a decent job of the food out there. And then, of course, with certain packages, you get the free drink and what is it, hot dog or whatever it is. But it was very good experience. And again, I'm out there every week, so it's nothing new. But I do love the presentation they gave for the fans, even if it's before the season. Gotta love that. I wasn't able to stick around to the very end because I had to get up so I can go to work next day. But it was a great time. Great time. Macktown Dirty's in here. What's going on, Macktown? Hope everything's going well for you, sir. David Stark says Sha'Carri's start was awful. Yes, it was. Australia, China, Canada has caught up with us in the pool, even though we won the total medal count and gold. And the men and women have played sloppy basketball. I don't care about the scores. Yeah, especially the men. The men have started slow. Now, I have no reason to think that either the men or the women are going to not achieve that gold medal. But you never know, man. You let those teams slip up on you. You got to be careful. You can't let anybody slip in on you. Can't do that, man. You cannot do that. But yeah, Sha'Carri, if you look, when she starts in the block, she has this tendency, and I noticed when she gets out, she goes left to right for some reason. Her body doesn't go straight. And the young lady from St. Lucia that beat her, oh girl, that race was over 10, maybe 15 meters into the race. That race was over. And shout out to her, because that wasn't even close. And Sha'Carri was actually lucky. She kind of hawked in the folks at the end. So more power to her. Speaking of my brother, Smitty Sports Machine in the house. Smitty doing this thing out there. Smitty was out there at the Benz, hanging with the fellas. Y'all make sure y'all hook up with Smitty. I know y'all are already. But y'all hook up on Smitty's channel, Smitty Sports Machine. Always got some good stuff. Great information, great videos, all over the place. Smitty said, I tried to tell people Desmond Ritter wasn't that dude, but no, he's a winner. Again, they tried to fool us. Smitty, I was there. Y'all can't. I'm going to tell you what. There's a lot of things. I'm not one of those that's going to try to keep score on who was right, who was wrong. But Smitty, I was telling everybody that too. You know I was. They were selling us that in the spring. And I kept saying, and he's not going to have any competition. They brought in Heineke, told him he's going to be a backup. They didn't do that situation. They didn't help that young man in that situation. I blame the coaching staff totally. But I'm telling y'all, I had people calling me out online saying I was a disloyal fan. I'm that born before some of them were before the created into an embryo. They're gonna tell me about being a fan because I didn't believe in the starting quarterback of a barely over Division II quarterback, and because I didn't believe him, I wasn't a real fan. You gotta support whoever on the yeah. I'm supporting the brand. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I was shot. I remember. I got plenty receipts. Plenty. Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter is the best. Desmond Ritter is gonna do it all. At the end of this year, where was Desmond Ritter? Right. I didn't hear anything from the Desmond Ritter fans at the end. But I don't know. That was just a funny chapter to me for the Atlanta Falcons. We basically wasted a year because that team was good enough. I'm not saying we would have pushed past a first round or anything like that, but we beat a Green Bay team that made it, even though they were playing better, I must admit, at the end of the year. There's no reason we couldn't have won that division last year. None. Shot ourselves in the foot. Philip Crawford's in here. What's going on, Philip? How you doing, brother? He said, what vet and rookie will stand out, make a name for themselves, and become a star? I'm trying to tell you, man, I've been on Braylon Trice from the beginning. And I'm going to tell y'all why. University of Washington and Washington State, and yes, even the city of Seattle, which includes the Seahawks at one time, I had a very because I was stationed up there, I kept up a lot with Seattle. I lived there for almost 3 years. So I kept up with a lot what was going on with Seattle and still kept up with them. So UW, when they won their national championship when I was up there, back in the Steve Edmond days. I think that was that Brock Hewitt or Mark Brunell that won the title. I can't remember which one, but they won the national championship that year. So I've always kept up with UW. And Braylon Trice was a nice defensive guy. Kind of surprised he went lower, but judging by some of the stuff I saw at practice, he was out there doing some things. I really like him. Travis Heath is in here. What's going on, Travis? How you doing, sir? He says, late to the chat, but Coco Chains look good at the open practice, and the offense looks like they are going to get the ball to the playmakers. And that's the main thing, Travis. We didn't have anybody that could consistently. I'm not going to sit here and act like Desmond didn't complete a pass ever. He did. But consistently get those passes to your playmakers. I'm very interested to see the production of Kyle Pitts this year. I mean, I am totally looking forward to that. That's going to be fun to see. What Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts come up with. Smitty says, tell Mama Johnson hello. I absolutely will, sir. Absolutely will. He says, I think Julio is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but his numbers are similar to Andre Johnson, and he waited for 2 years. See, that's the problem too. I think Andre Johnson fell into that category too. If you would have stopped, if Julio would have said, nah, I'm done the year he went to Tennessee, which basically Julio hasn't been. He's been a shell of himself. He still caught a few touchdowns, but he's a shell of himself. And the touchdown number was something that Tidy was mentioning the other day. Uh, and that's, you got to think about it. That's real. That's absolutely real. So I think that's where you look at that, and Julio might have to wait now. Matt Town Dirty says Desmond Ritter worth $2 million. Don't wish bad, but not cry either. Yeah, again, Matt Town, I wish nothing but the best for him personally. That's why I'm able to always decipher the personal from the professional. It's a lot of folks that can't do that, which is kind of a shame. I can always tell those people that, oh, Desmond Ritter, he's supposed to really be, the guy and everything like that. So you gotta support him, and you have to. And I'm like, no, man, that dude is not good. I watched him, and I'm sure now everybody else has watched him. He nice guy, but you need more. David Starr says Julio was traded to the Titans. Then we had the Bucks, Eagles. Yeah, ring chasing, and it wasn't good. Absolutely. When you're doing the hopping like that, that doesn't help your case. Titus says, look at Marvin Harrison's resume and career, and he didn't go first ballot. Same with Michael Irvin. I don't think he's a definite lock to be a first ballot, as most of the fan base thinks. Yeah, I think we are. And Tidy, you and I talk about this quite a bit when you start talking about the rose-colored glasses with the Atlanta fans. And I don't blame you. We're in Atlanta. We're in this region. We are going to go harder for our people. Like I'm still, as an Atlanta native, I'm still trying to figure out why Dale Murphy isn't in the Hall of Fame. 2-time MVP, 1 home run away from 400. And you gonna mean to tell me he won one of the greatest baseball players, especially during his era? There might have been more splashy names that were with bigger teams, but we tend to look at those rose-colored glasses. Same thing with Matt, and we could talk about that too. Matt Ryan, by far, Matt Ryan shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's the argument, and I love Matt Ryan as my quarterback, and more as a person. Matt Ryan, man, y'all don't realize the stuff these cats be doing in the background, man. Matt Ryan was great for this city. Absolutely great for this city. He avoided the rebuild that everybody was expecting in 08. So he gave us some good years. Now, just like Julio, maybe overstayed his welcome. That last contract was probably not. That probably shouldn't have been. But he overstayed his welcome. That's why I think his Hall of Fame status as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I'm of, Atlanta Ring of Honor quarterback? Absolutely. Hall of Famer quarterback? He kind of reminds me a little bit of, if you go back and look at, wait, let me look at something right quick. I just take something real quick, and I want to pull up this guy's numbers right quick before I make the comparison. But I just want to, just out of curiosity, I want to look at his numbers. Now, okay, he probably not a good comparison. And he played a long time, but he really didn't start all the time. But Randall Cunningham was the guy that I was thinking about. And I'm only saying this because Randall Cunningham was a really good player for a few years, including a year where he was Offensive Player of the Year. He never got that MVP. I think Terrell Davis beat him out for it in '98, the year that Denver went back to the Super Bowl. But I don't know why Randall Cunningham comes to my mind, because I always think, he was good, but was he really great? I don't think so. And Matt Ryan will always, to me, be a very good quarterback at best. But was he actually next level? And I think that answer is no. And aside of a really strong run in 2016 and a really good run in 2012 too. He really did have some good numbers in 12. Aside of those two, I don't think Matt Ryan is even a lock to be in the Hall of Fame, let alone first ballot. Yeah. Jamal D is in the house. What's going on, sir? How you doing, man? Scooter's in the house. What's going on, Scooter? He said that's been Shakira's problem her career, slow out of the box. She has catch-up speed, but that girl from St. Lucia was out of there. Man, let me tell you something. Hey, and she beat her in that semifinal as well. And you could see Shakira trying to play it off and kind of slow up at the end. I was like, hey, you. That girl had that second gear. Y'all better beware. Jamal with the second request of the day.
I love Desmond.
Y'all gonna love Desmond, man. Y'all got. Oh man, Barbara Ridley said, "Ritter ain't it." My favorite saying all year long. Let me tell you something. Uncle Steve, and Barbara Ridley were on that same track last year. Because I even remember Barbara coming in, kind of getting a little flack as well. And Barbara was sitting there with you, and I know she's a fan. She a through the wall fan. But she's like, he just not it. And people act like you are less of a fan, not because we're saying we're rooting against our quarterback. Obviously, we want him to win. We want him to do well. But we're also seasoned enough fans to look out there and say, this looks familiar. This looks like it's not a good situation. Bostar says not the Crickets. Hey, man. Sometimes you got to give them what they deserve, bro. Smitty says Braylon Trice was coming off that edge fast. Yes, he was. Love what I saw from him. And I'm telling you, at West Coast teams, you don't get a chance to see him that much. Braylon Trice was doing his thing, y'all. Don't be shocked if he ends up being in a lot of packages this year. And the linebacker room is crowded. Smitty also says Washington was 91 champion Brunel. Okay. And Edmund was the leader. I remember Steve Edmund was pretty much the glue. He was the Aaron Donald of that team when he was there. And boy, that whole area was lit up for them that year. Because actually it was because there was a lot of controversy with them too, because who was it? It was Washington, and it was the other team that they were against. That it was a big controversy at the end, because if I'm not mistaken, I think two teams ended up undefeated that year, but Washington ended up getting the natty on that. Latterberg game says Dale wasn't great for long enough. That's why he isn't in there, and I understand it. Go ahead and throw the tomatoes. And no. Listen, Dale Murphy at that time, Tidy. By the time he left, pre-steroid era, you didn't see home run numbers that he was kind of getting to. Like, you're talking about a step from 400, a home run or two from 400. That was different back in the late 80s and stuff. That was a big number. Now, you've had a lot of folks come and pass them, whether they were enhanced or not. But so now that number looks kind of medium. But at the time, Tidy, I will say there was a good 5-year run. And that's what I do. I do that in football too. If you have a 5-year run when you're considered one of the best, you got to be in consideration. So you might be right. That might be those glasses again, where you start talking about here at home, wanting him to do. But I still think Dale Murphy was one of the greatest, definitely one of the greatest Braves of all time. Tidy says it will be 50-50 on if Matt makes it to the Hall. Him working in the booth will help. Now will help, but I don't know. And you know, we made that point maybe a few weeks ago. Matt is really good in the booth. He was actually good in the studio too. They probably need to put him in that studio. And I think that's where he's going, right? Is he going in there with when they got rid of Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms? Is that what he's doing? Or is he going doing games? Either way, yeah, that might help. But yeah, I think it's a lot more work, folks. I think we are a little bit blinded by that. And you're talking about somebody for real, for real. I wish John Harris was in this stream. We would go toe to toe yelling at work. Folks thought we were fighting for real. Talking about Matt Ryan. And he was not a believer in Mr. Ice. Bernard says, what's going on, Bernard? How you doing, sir? Bernard said Matt Ryan is a Hall of Fame, just probably not first ballot. Had better numbers in 18 than in 16. Yeah, but here's the problem, though. And I know he had a great statistical. See, that's the thing, man. I think we become, and I'm guilty of it too, Bernard. So I'm not picking on you. We become such a slave to those numbers. If somebody throws 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns in today's game, does that make them great? I'm just gonna kind of break it down just for a second. Let me go to my little thing right here. Okay, so for the Falcons, not even for the Falcons, for the average guy, 4,000 yards passing, right? And Matt did it 9 straight years, 8 straight years, whatever he did. And 4,000 yards divided by 16 games is only 250 yards. Now, we've had a year or two of Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota, so 250 yards does sound like a lot. But is that really the mark of a great quarterback? 250 yards a game? I'm not sure. And so I hear folks when we talk about Ice, but I'm not. And I'm not going to stop at 4,000 because that year that you were talking about, he almost threw for 5,000. So I'll even put just 4,800 yards divided by 16. 4,800 yards. Okay, that's 300. 300 is usually the mark where you say, okay, they had a pretty good game. Now, that could also be dictated by what's going on in the game. If they start stopping you in the running game, maybe that's going to pump your numbers up. But, yeah, the 4,000 yard stuff and the stat stuff, Bernard, that doesn't do it for me. what does it for me? You throw for 3,500 yards and your team is 10-6 back before we get to the 17 games, which most of Matt's career was 16, not 17. If you do that, that's why that impressive, even though he hadn't truly peaked, that's why the 08 to 2012 years, to me, were obviously sans the 2016. His most impressive years were 8 to 12. 2008 to 2012. The 2018 year, yeah, that was nice for numbers. But what did that really get us? Nothing. Another matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think we were 7-9, right? Like we were all the time. David Starr says Randall Cunningham had a lot of wild plays, but wasn't consistently great. He was like Matt, as you were saying, good to very good. Exactly my point. And he's a player. Now, looking at his total numbers, he's definitely probably not in that category. 29,000. He's literally 21 yards from 30,000. He only had 56% completion, 207 touchdowns, 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first team All Pro that 98 season. But he really that's why I say him and Matt kind of remind me of each other. Good to very good. But Cunningham's apex was 98. Matt's apex was 2016. Please tell me, aside of that year with Matt, aside of 16, tell me a year that you think he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And I'll just point to you just 2012, maybe. Maybe. And he got to the NFC Championship, so that might back him up a little bit. And that almost goes to the Julio thing. Julio had a longer span where he was probably considered one of the top 3 wide receivers. I'll argue, obviously not his rookie year, the 12 year, he did a lot of things the 12 year, but Roddy White was still kind of the man in 2012. But then after that, Julio kind of got into that category of really from 14 to 19, truly was one of the top 3 and arguably the best a couple of years. That's why his case is probably stronger to me than Matt's, even though, as Tidy's argument said, it depends. Jamal, what's going on, man? How you doing, sir? Good to see. Oh, I didn't get the applause. I got applause for you, brother. He said Matt had great numbers in 2018 also as well, but that season failed because of the defense. Again, the further you get away from it, folks don't remember. Steve Bartkowski actually, I don't think his statistical best year wasn't the 1980 year, for those of you who remember the Falcons when they had the great run of 12-4. Steve Bartkowski's greatest statistical year was actually 1981. And they were 7-9. Through 3,008. And keep in mind, y'all, this was back when throwing 3,500 yards was awesome. 38, 3,829 yards, 30 touchdowns, 55% on the accuracy. But we were 7-9. Nobody's talking about statistical years for him. Nobody's talking about it. The almost closest person that kind of matched up a statistical year with almost championship year to me was Dan Marino, because I think the year they went to the Super Bowl and got drugged by San Francisco that year, I think he threw for like 5,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. Yeah, that was the 1984 year. He threw for 5,000. Look at these numbers, man. This dude is crazy. And this is, again, 1984. This wasn't the air out 90s and 2000s. This was 1984. And Dan Marino threw for 5,000 yards, 48 touchdowns, 64% passing, 14-2, and got drilled in the Super Bowl that year. Stats are great. Stats are things you can follow. Stats are considered for Hall of Fame status, but it's not everything. Bernard, he says, Matt Ryan carried subpar defense all his whole career. Brother, folks not feeling sorry for that, man. Folks are not going to feel sorry for that. I'm telling you, not in the 2000s. Folks don't care about that. And again, love me some ice. People don't care about that part. They just want to see you win. I was looking at something ESPN was putting on, I think it was today, where they were talking about future Hall of Famers. And I'm telling y'all, he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Eli Manning is going to go into the Hall of Fame either in year 2 or 3. Not because he was great. He had a horrible win-loss record, but he looked the greatest quarterback in history in the eye 2 times in the championship game and won. Nobody, don't come to me about great defense, because he actually was part of the winning plays. He made 2 great throws, whether in both of those games. People don't care. It's good for fantasy. Matt Ryan is a fantasy hero, but that's about it. Scooter said, I definitely think Matt makes it not first ballot. Okay. And I'm not going to sit here and root against the guy. He makes the Hall of Fame. I'll be the first one to say, congratulations, Matt. That's not personal. I'm just looking at the landscape. Look at the landscape of the quarterbacks that were playing in the Matt Ryan era. Most of the time in these eras with quarterbacks, you might, and I say an era to me, an era, or maybe it's a lower number, but yeah, I guess an era. To me, an era is about a 10 to 15 year period. And you look at the contemporary quarterbacks that Matt Ryan is going up against. Tom Brady. Let's just say it. The Manning brothers, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger. And I know I'm leaving somebody out. So he's not going to be considered over any of those guys. So you're not going to tell me this was the golden age of quarterbacks. And then you have a couple of those quarterbacks that's going to have to kind of cross their fingers. I think Russell Wilson is going to have to cross his fingers. And Russ got great numbers. I know he's not Russ from 10 years ago. But after the Legion of Boom dismantled, Russ was actually carrying Seattle a couple of years. He did himself a favor right before he went to Denver. And all of a sudden, the wheels came off. Philip Crawford said, delete the Desmond button. Never, Philip, never.
I love Desmond.
Never. Jamal says, yes, Matt is definitely a Hall of Famer. We will see if you go first ballot or not, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Would have had a ring if Shanahan didn't screw the Falcons. I agree with that, but we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see. And the people who are voting, that's going to be a lot of people will say, well, what if this happens? There are a lot of very qualified people on that Buffalo Bills team that lost 4 Super Bowls. What if that guy hit the field goal against Washington? Not Washington, against the Giants in that Super Bowl that they lost. Hypotheticals, I don't think it's fair. That what happened was they lost. And Matt Ryan is on a team that lost the Super Bowl. Yeah, you could throw up these degrees. Here's the 4th best passing thing in Super Bowl history. 15 years from now, nobody will care. Nobody will care. Barbara says, I have to admit, still concerned about corner and edge. We shall see. And it seems like Mike Hughes has pretty much got most of the run at the other quarterback over on the other side of AJ. It looked like that's kind of a set deal there. I thought maybe they would make him work a little bit. But no. It truly looks like he has that sewn up. So we'll see. The edge, I think they're going to let some of these young boys just try, Barbara. I think that's what they're going to do. Dad David, thank you, brother. Michigan. That's who it was. Michigan. That was the other team that was battling them for supremacy that year. Raymond says, I was convinced Ritter wasn't it after the Detroit game. I saw the deer glaze in his eyes. Let's go to work. Kurt, there you go. Absolutely. I agree. I wanted to give him one more game because just like a lot of us, I was fooled after the first 2 games. Well, I take that back. I wasn't fooled at the Carolina game. I thought that was a horrible game. He got bailed out by Jesse Bates getting 2 interceptions and Bijan Robinson doing his thing as a rookie that first game. But being in London and watching him throw those 2 consecutive interceptions was all I needed to see. And really after that, he did not have a good year. Sans maybe the Houston game. But other than that, nah. Jamal says Matt Ryan never got an O-line like we have now. He had a pretty decent O-line in 11 and 12. He actually did have a decent offense. Now, when they had to rebuild between 13 to 15, they kind of fell apart. But that one in 16 that kind of held over to 17, they were still pretty decent. They were still pretty good. Nando in the house. What's going on, Nando? How you feeling, brother? He said, what's good, Our Falcons this season, I have high expectation for our birds. That makes 2 of us, man. I think the more I really to just have caution. I've been telling everybody 10 wins. I've been saying 10 and 7 because you're always going to lose a couple that you're not supposed to win and win a couple you're not supposed to lose. Did I say that right? I think I did. But I still say 10 and 7. We got to get through that gauntlet. And I talked about it last week. The first 3 games, the next 6 games, which are mostly division games, and then that last part of the season when you really, if the season started today, you really should have a good advantage going into those last 7 games of the season. Shaka Zulu's in here. What's going on, Shaka? How you feeling, brother? Hope everything is well with you, my friend. Raymond Collins says if Matt would have won that Super Bowl, it probably would have solidified his chances. Raymond, not only would it have solidified his chances, I wouldn't be having this conversation. Because you would have the numbers and pretty much the success. That ring is going to mean everything. That ring would have cemented him, number one. And you think about back to the Julio conversation. Julio with one of the greatest catches ever in Super Bowl history. The that probably would have solidified maybe a first ballot for him as well. But history is just not good for the Falcons, unfortunately. It's not. Demetrius, what's going on, DJ? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for coming in, Uncle Steve's Lounge. Again, as y'all coming in, I appreciate y'all coming in on the Sunday Chill. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button for me if you haven't already. I appreciate you. Try to get this YouTube thing up a little bit. Y'all tell you folks, I had a chance to meet a lot of folks that I promise you, and I love running into people where people's like, Uncle Steve, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And just nice folks that say, hey, I enjoy your content and whatever. This is not ESPN. This is not Fox Sports. This is just an old fan that likes to sit up here and have a good time with y'all, laugh, smile, talk about our Atlanta Falcons, and enjoy ourselves, man. We not for the drama. We not for the mess. There are plenty of places for that. Y'all come in here, man. Sit down with your aunt, speak your mind, and we're gonna try to have a good time and get these Falcons into the winning circle. Y'all cool with that? If you are, y'all put a like on the stream for me, and tell your friends to make sure they subscribe. That's what we're about in here, man. Nando says Julio wants to be a first ballot because of Matt Ryan. The proof is the numbers of Matt Ryan. Listen, there's an argument, Nando, that we wish Matt Ryan would have pumped them numbers up a little bit more for Julio. The biggest thing on Julio's mark, them touchdowns, man. Those touchdowns are very low. He's not even the all-time Falcon receiving touchdown. That's still Roddy White. So that's something that's really, something to think about. Matt trying to get into my face. So Bernard says he played with terrible defenses, a lot of even his good to great seasons. It's not a lot of. Again, I get it, Bernard. Nobody is here trying to take away the fact that Matt Ryan was a really solid quarterback. I'm not telling you that. You have to have a defense in order to win. You absolutely do. But there aren't people that's going to feel sorry for Matt Ryan and his defense. I'm sorry. And the year that Matt Ryan was an MVP, that defense was not a great defense. We were opportunistic that year. We weren't great in 2016. Very opportunistic. A lot of y'all that today called Vic Beasley a bust. Vic Beasley had 15 and a half sacks that year, or either 16 and a half, whatever it was, and led the league in sacks. But we didn't have a top 10 defense. So where's the argument going to be with that? That's why, and really, when you think about it, there are not a lot of people that's going to go around kind of, defending that part for Matt. Matt, at best, was a very good quarterback. At best. But he wasn't elite, folks. And to me, this is Steve. I'm not voting. I don't have a dog in the fight as far as that's concerned. To me, elite quarterbacks need to be in the Hall of Fame. There are some quarterbacks that aren't elite. They're not. And you say Rivers? Are you talking about Phillip Rivers? That's kind of one of my points. There are a lot of people that think Phillip Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, what? No MVPs, never got to the Super Bowl. Then he had one AFC championship game. Yeah, Phillip Rivers that's another one. Very puzzling. Now, he was well liked. He was well liked in Trying to pull up his numbers real quick. Phillip Rivers. Hold on one second. Phillip Rivers, 63,000 yards, 421 TDs. I mean, lot of stats. Lot of stats. Lot of Pro Bowls. Matter of fact, a lot of Pro Bowls. Let's see, was he ever All Pro? First team All Pro. Nope. Never All Pro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Pro Bowl years. 421 touchdowns. Impressive. 63,000 yards. 64%. 134 winning over 106. That's really good. Is that Hall of Fame? Did you say Aaron? Aaron, I'm trying to think. What are you talking about? Nando says on the win-loss record, I have us at 12-5. That's a good one. 12-5 is decent. If we do our job, it is. Travis, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Join us in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Uncle Steve fighting a gnat, man. It's like a gnat from I don't know where he coming from, but he's sitting out here trying to cause some drama on my stream. He's hey Uncle, Matt's boy next door personality might get him in, but I wouldn't be surprised if he waits 3 or 4 years. 28-3 will forever haunt him. That's probably more realistic right there than anything else anybody else is saying. 28-3 probably is not gonna help. It's probably not, and it's not his fault. Because he wasn't on the defense that gave it up. I understand what people are saying, but it is what it is. You're on the wrong side of history. Antonio, what's going on, brother? How you doing in the house today? Say what's up, what's your prediction on the record after the first month of the season? You know, let's go see what the first month of the season entails. And I'll just say 4 weeks because obviously I think that's going to stretch into. Oh, it is 4 weeks. 4 weeks of September. Pittsburgh. If you ask me right now, Antonio, and I'll reserve the right to go back and change if anything happens between now and the beginning of the season. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be an issue. So I think that's 1-0. September 16th, Monday night in Philly. We have never done well against Philly in Philly. And I think this year is even probably a worse chance of us doing it. Philly is actually going to have 2 extra days rest because they play on the Friday. You know, we have the usual kickoff game, which is Kansas City and Baltimore this year. Well, Philadelphia plays that Friday. So they're going to have Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. So they're going to have 2 extra days, which sometimes, you know, in today's NFL, that's a lifetime. Playing that game on the road, I really just don't see it. The shot in the dark to me, that Kansas City game is going to be crucial. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. Kansas City's been starting slow the last few years. I like our chances on Sunday night against the Chiefs. I'd say 2-1. I know they're the Super Bowl champs. I'd say 2-1. And then we got New Orleans here. If we can beat Kansas City, yeah, I have no fear of New Orleans this year. So I think we can go 3-1 realistically, Antonio. Realistically, I think we can. What do y'all think? I know Kansas City, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you Mahomes isn't the greatest quarterback of our generation right now. I'm not trying to tell you that Andy Reid is one of the, if not the currently greatest coach, active coach playing right now. But I like our chances. David Starks. Thank you, David. Defense ranked 26 in 2016. So again, if your argument is going to be, well, Matt Ryan didn't have a defense. He didn't have a defense during his greatest year. His greatest year, he didn't have a top 25 defense. His greatest year. So miss me with that. And that's not being negative against you personally. I'm just saying we can't keep making excuses for him because we are behind the red and black. I want every Atlanta Falcons player to achieve the greatest accolades that they can. But I can't sit here and act like he was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in any 5-year span of his career, which includes the MVP season. If you take that 2016, whether you put 2 years in front and 2 years in back, whether that 2016 ends there and it goes back to 2012, there is no era where Matt was a top 5 quarterback in a 5-year span. Hear what I'm saying when I'm saying that? In a 5-year span. Closest I would say is the 08 to 12 season, and that's because he did a lot of winning. When you win 10 games, 9 games, 13 games, 10 games, 13 games, numbers aside, you should be considered one of the best quarterbacks if you're leading those teams. That's the kind of numbers I'm talking about. Nando says Eli Manning will make the Hall of Fame before Matt Ryan. I think he will. That sounds blasphemous, but I think he will. Those 2 chips against the greatest. If you told me he went against Joe Flacco, or you told me he went against, I don't know, Mark Sanchez, then I would say, okay, Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice. Yes, I know they didn't fight. They didn't go against each other on the field together. But in history, he is 2-0 against Mr. Brady in the biggest game of the year. That alone will get him a Hall of Fame bust. Maybe not a first year, but he's getting in for sure. And to Nando's point, don't be shocked if it's over the Iceman first. And Eli had a horrible regular season record. Barbara says, as we all know, Super Bowls count. Eli was mediocre at best, but in the clutch time, he delivered. Hence, Hall of Fame, especially when he beat Brady twice on a wild card team. I mean, I don't know how else to verbalize that. That was almost perfect. That's almost perfect. Barbara goes on and says, scheduler didn't do us any favors because we got new everything almost. Putting the best teams first in the month is tough. But I'll tell you what it is going to do. Let's play devil's advocate and say we lose 2 out of 3, which is a possibility that we could lose 2 out of 3. I think that's a great start. Your schedule after those 3 games, the only projected winning teams that you have, depending on what publications or people that you listen to, some people think Tampa Bay is going to be a winning team. Everybody says Dallas. That's 2. Aside of that, there are no other projected winning teams after that Kansas City game. Nobody's sitting out here saying New Orleans is going to be over 500 this year. This is the year for us to do our thing. We have the best quarterback in the NFC South. You could arguably say he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. What quarterbacks right now would you say are better than Kirk Cousins in the NFC? Dak Prescott, and I give Dak his credit. Dak has put up the numbers and did what he had to do. Jalen Hurts, I'll give Jalen the nod for that. Can't say Washington. No Daniel Jones. No Jordan Love. No whoever's going to quarterback for Minnesota. Caleb, no. Golf? No. Purdy is really good, and I'm almost, if he can do it a third straight year, I'm almost ready to say maybe. What's my man's name? Geno Smith? No. Matt Stafford, I have to maybe give him a little love because he won the chip and he made the playoffs last year. So maybe Matt Stafford. And Kyler Murray, no. So from a quarterback standpoint, we're there. And the pieces. There's no reason why we shouldn't compete. Jay Black, what's up, brother? How you doing now? He said Kurt played Philly twice a year, right? If he did, we'll have an advantage when we do not have one. No, well, he did early, but the last few years he's been with Minnesota, so he hasn't played them twice in a minute. But I hear what you're saying. When he was with Washington, he used to play them, but that was a whole different team when he was with Washington. No doubt. Nando said after the first month, we will be 5-0 and 4-1. The loss will be Kansas City. Okay, I hear you. I'm all for it. Even though I think I like our chances with Kansas City coming in here and catching them early. Kansas City hadn't started great the last couple of years, even though they won the chip at the end. So, Tidy says the biggest conundrum with Matt Ryan, as far as our fan base goes, is his biggest fans overrated him and his biggest critics are way overcritical of him. So he was good to very good in his peak. And I see, Tidy, here's the problem. I don't know why people get offended when you say good to very good. That's a pretty good thing for a quarterback. A lot of quarterbacks in these leagues are not very good. Matt Ryan was, in Matt Ryan's peak, he was very good more than he was good. There was a time there, those last couple of years, yeah, we had some, that 2011 season in between the two, the one sandwiched in between the two 13-win seasons. Matt was kind of subpar that year, but the other 2 years, Matt Ryan was close to very good on a team with no name players. Basically, 2012, he had some folks. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez, but Tony Gonzalez was in the twilight. He could catch everything, but Tony wasn't running anywhere. You didn't see old yak with Tony. If Tony caught the ball, it was going to be, if Tony did a 10-yard in, it was a 10-yard catch. If Tony did a 15-yard in, it was a 15-yard catch. Tony wasn't running after the ball. Not during that time. And no, it's no slight on him. He had been in the league for a while. But yeah, I people get very sensitive talking about Matt. And you know, I listened to you when you guys were talking the other day on the Waffle House, and y'all were talking about the Julio conversation. It's almost the same thing where we are very, very tainted when it comes to Matt Ryan. We are, and that's kind of good. I would rather be in a fan base that's blindly. I'm different because I've always said I lean more toward the pessimistic side, but I would rather be in a fan base that you do go yard hard for Desmond Ridder, as opposed to saying, same old Falcons. It's kind of in us to just assume the worst. I understand why we do it, but we just assume the worst all the time because sometimes Falcons don't come through. Demetrius said Eli was very mediocre. He wasn't a superstar quarterback, but definitely came up clutch when he needed. I'm not a big fan of Eli, but I'll always be glad he beat Tom, the Golden Boy Brady, twice. And that alone, Demetrius, that's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer, brother. That's why he's going to be Eli Manning was not special. Matter of fact, let's go to Eli numbers. Eli's not special. He beat the greatest twice. Matter of fact, I'll even say, had he gone 1-for-1, I probably would kind of dog him out a little bit. Hold on 1 second. Log in. Folks don't want to give me credit, man. I paid $5 for this subscription. Hey, give me my stats. Okay, here we go. All right, so Eli Manning. Trying to look at the bottom. Pro Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4 Pro Bowls. He threw for 57,000 yards, 366 touchdowns, 60% pass. Now, for any quarterback that was after 2000, but quite honestly, 60% is kind of low. So that's one. Eli Manning's record, 117 and 117. But the two biggest wins, including especially the one where they beat the perfect Patriots. That Super Bowl alone made him a Hall of Famer. And he knows it. Everybody knows it. They're just not going to let him in that first year. ATL Focus says Giants was the most dangerous wildcard team in NFL history. Yeah, that year, that was the 2011 year that we lost to the Giants that he's referring to. And the Falcons went up 2-0 because Eli Manning threw intentional grounding and got a safety. And after that, the Giants steamrolled us and went on to win the Super Bowl. Antonio says not only is Eli getting in the Hall of Fame for Matt, I'm pretty sure he's going to be first ballot. That's a stretch to me. Now, I'll say this, Antonio. I don't think you can let him be first ballot with a 117 record. That's me. I don't think you can do that. The 2 wins against Brady is outstanding. But I'm also looking. I mean, Eli did not. I'm trying to see the longest stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Well, you know what? I'll take that back. He had an 8-year stretch from 2005 to 2012 where they didn't have a losing record. A couple of 8-8s in there, but not a losing record. So give him a little credit, but he was horrible the last few years. Kind of probably stayed around way too much too. James, what's going on, brother? Hadn't seen you in a while. Say what's up, cuz. Say Matt was a good quarterback, but not a great quarterback. In his earlier years, he was Matty Ice, but in later years, he just put up yards. Again, nothing but truth bombs. Nothing but truth bombs. Matt Ryan right now, when you see him go on to Cam Newton talking about he didn't think he might have been respected by Falcon fans. When you see that, we are judging by what we just saw last. If Matt Ryan had not signed that gigantic contract, him and Julio, in 18 and 19 and hamstring this organization, I think you would have fans thinking a little differently. But we kind of muddle along, especially a 2021 year when we probably should have been trying to get a future quarterback. False Start says, Ric Flair, to beat a man, whoo, you got to beat the man. He did 2 times. You said it. You said it. You stared the greatest in the face twice and beat him down. Love it. Wayne Hayes, what's going on, Wayne? He said Matt Ryan was a pretty good quarterback, but held Julio back due to the fact that he couldn't throw the deep ball, which was Julio's strength. That's a very good point. Very good point. And it reflects in the touchdown numbers that Julio got. Y'all remember that? What was that? Was that 17? When Sanu threw the bomb to Julio? Was that 17? And everybody was like, that's the best deep ball Julio's ever gotten. Do y'all remember that pass? I'm telling you, man. That's just nothing but the truth. Armani, what's going on, brother? How you doing, nephew? Good to see you in the house, man. Got to pop in a little bit more often, brother. That big old Alabama stuff, man. Let me tell you something, man. Alabama this year, y'all get ready for mediocre play. Y'all, the boys is gonna be. Y'all think Milroe's gonna get exposed because people are gonna probably plan for him. Alabama this year is gonna be 9-3. Georgia's going to Tuscaloosa this year and taking names. I'm just telling you. And I don't think anybody in the SEC is going undefeated. Nobody. Too tough schedule for everybody. But Alabama, get ready for mediocre. Welcome to our world. He said, Eli will get in strictly based on his name, legacy, and beating Brady twice. He is a second ballot Hall of Famer. Matt Ryan is also a second ballot Hall of Famer. The name recognition doesn't hurt because, doesn't hurt to be Peyton's brother. But beating Brady twice, again, folks, that's the only prerequisite I need. Beating him twice, that's good enough. Really good enough. Barbara says they keep saying Matt had no defense. Him and Julio should have gave up some of the money to get a defense. Like Mahomes is like number 10 is quarterback salary. I'll tell you something. Miss Barbara ain't lying. That 18 and 19 year when we paid, remember, okay, let me go to Matt first. Matt got that last contract. He probably shouldn't have gotten that contract. Falcons, that was Dimitroff. And Dimitroff will probably tell you now he probably shouldn't have given him that quarterback money that year. Julio, remember, had the 1 year where he was trying to get the extra pocket money. Then he turned around, held us hostage to sign him to a new deal. And then the next year, you want to leave. We wasted a lot of time with those two contracts. And now we're just getting back to where we can do some things. No. Latoya, what's going on, ma'am? How you doing? Glad to see you back in Uncle Steve's lounge. Hopefully you'll be hanging around for the football season. I know you will. Say 15-2. Oh, she says 15-2 Super Bowl bound. Imagine that run game and finally a quarterback that can put fear in the defense. Super excited. Yeah, we were talking about that also. I know Spitty was with us, and Big Low was up there with the Benz. You know, now that you have a real quarterback and somebody who can actually throw the ball with some accuracy, you're not going to have the 8 in the box anymore. Man, Bijan is going to get fed well. Kyle Pitts is going to get fed well. Now that Kurt has some other options. 15-2. Look, I'm not going to knock your hustle. I would love it. I'm here for it. 15-2, that give us a number 1 seed, give us 2 games in the dome, in the Benz, rather. Shoot, I'll take that in a heartbeat. I'm down with it. Antonio says Eli is eligible next year, and his potential first-time classmates are Terrell Suggs, Beast Mode, Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Absolutely, positively, no doubt. Terrell Suggs is going to be an interesting choice. He's been passed over a couple of times. Well, wait a minute. No, Terrell, this is his first time. I take that back. I'm sorry. Terrell Suggs, it's going to be kind of interesting to see with Terrell Suggs. Beast Mode is going to be an interesting case too. Beast Mode is more of Beast Mode had moments. And quite honestly, Beast Mode should be a 2-time Super Bowl winner. But we know what happened in that Patriots game in Seattle. Yeah, Adam Vinatieri is not going in. So yeah, Eli's not gonna get on the first ballot. Only one I see on that list that you tell me that I absolutely put money down is Luke Kuechly. Terrell Suggs is gonna be close, but Luke Kuechly is definitely getting it. Armani says we had our time. Alabama will be all right. I'll give it a year or two. Yeah, that's probably about right. Augusta Gator, man, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Good to see you back in here as well, man. Again, as y'all coming in, peeking into the lounge, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. We're going to get things started up pretty well, man. Not only this week with the Falcons going in. Next week, well, I'll take that back. Not next week. The 17th, August 17th, we're going to be at Benchwarmers in Stockbridge. Benchwarmers Bar, watching the Baltimore Ravens game. It's an early game, 12 o'clock. Got plenty of time to go do all kinds of other stuff afterwards. 12 noon Saturday. Y'all can just stay for the first half if you want to. Just getting together with some of the fellas and the young ladies. Big fans. If y'all are not doing anything that Saturday, y'all come on by, man. We love to see you. Some of your favorite content creators are going to be there. Just breaking bread before the season starts. Touch in before that first Pittsburgh game. See what's going on. We love to see you down there. We'll have more details on that in the next week and a half. But if you have a chance that week 2, Baltimore Ravens, we will be at Benchwarmers Bar and Grill in Stockbridge. Should be a good time. Barbara says, would be a dream come true if we win the Super Bowl this season in Stank Town. You know, I remember when we had the opportunity to do that last time, Barbara. That was that 2012 year. And boy, when you start talking about moments, we were there. My whole family was there. 2012, Frisco. And when Julio caught that pass in the corner of the end zone, and we went up, if I'm not mistaken, was it 14 zip or 17 zip? I think it was 17. Was it 17 zip? And we went up in that game. You couldn't tell me. I was before 28-3. You couldn't tell me we weren't going to win that game. I thought we were about to blow Frisco out the stadium. But I forgot we had just played another NFC West team the week before in the Seattle Seahawks. Went up by 3 scores and let them come back. But the difference was Frisco actually finished the drill. Y'all remember the game, the turf monster called Harry Douglas. No pass interference call against Roddy White. Had a lot of things go against us during that game. But that would have been lovely to go to New Orleans and win the Super Bowl in their town. So yeah, I'm down for it. And Barbara says 11-6 and we win the Super Bowl. I'm down. And listen, the NFC, I'll argue with anybody. The NFC can be had. Frisco to me is head and shoulders above most of the NFC. There's no other team in the NFC that I just say, nah, we can't beat. And even Frisco, any given day. But why not us? Detroit, we played Detroit tough. Desmond Ritter wanted to throw to other people. We held Detroit to 2 scores before that fourth quarter interception. There's some good teams in the NFC, but with Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, folks, there's no reason that we can't really do special things this year. And you're right, Gator, we've been close. We've been very close. So why not, as LaToya said, or as Barbara said, why not be able to dream about the Super Bowl? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting money on it. But why not? The NFC, look, if we were in the AFC right now, I'm not even going to lie to you. I'd probably say, ooh, can we get a couple of years? The balance right now is leaning toward the AFC. The better teams are in the AFC. The better quarterbacks right now are in the AFC. Better young quarterbacks are in the AFC. That's why it was critical to get Kirk Cousins in here. He could make a huge difference in a quarterback lacking conference. There are some people that still judging whether Jalen Hurts is really the real deal. I think he is. I just think he had a bad year last year. Dak Prescott, I hate Dallas with everything in my power. But Dak Prescott is still a good quarterback, and they got some nice weapons on the outside with CeeDee Lamb if he comes to camp. Their defense is going to be interesting this year. But I don't think you should be scared of any team in the NFC. So with that being said, I think we can do some things. I think we can do some special things. So if you ask me right now, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Still put me down right now for 10 wins. And I'll be glad to be wrong if we win 11 or 12. Get us a number 1, number 2 seed. Play the first couple of games in the Benz, and we'll call it. We'll do it like that. How about that, y'all? And how about the Sunday chill, man? Y'all have been outstanding today. And I appreciate all the love that y'all have had for your unk today. I really want to thank everyone. Y'all hit the like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe for me. I'm trying to get into this football season and do our thing with these Atlanta Falcons. We'll probably be on later on in the week. We'll probably get the Friday brunch back in standing in the next couple of weeks. Until then, truly appreciate everybody. Y'all have been awesome. Thank you, and we'll see y'all next time.